Hello everyone, welcome to the MBL channel. Thank you for watching. Welcome. Doing today a video for the Capricorn season, which we have entered into. It doesn't matter what astrological sign you are. If you've found this video, if it's come across your path by coincidence or accident, it may well be for you. There may be things in it that are for you. So through the period of late December, early January, or half December, half January, whatever the dates are, and it's Capricorn season that we're looking at, and what are the influences that we are going to be dealing with? How are we being encouraged to develop within ourselves along our spiritual path, our spiritual journey? Where to start? Thank you, Spirit. So, Spirit's told me to look at Scorpio. Oh, interesting. To look at Capricorn and what are some of the qualities? I'm not going to list all of the qualities, but some of the qualities or the lessons around dealing with Capricorns, or that Capricorns have to deal with within themselves or out in their lives. One of them, the main one, is that they are very intelligent and very hardworking, very diligent, very grounded. It's an earth sign. And they work hard for what they want to achieve. They have a dedication to them. They've got a lot of fire in the background that, even though they're an earth sign, it's like they've got plenty of wood to put on the fire. So they've got stamina when it comes to achieving their goals. Okay? And as I said, highly intelligent. They can be quite blinkered, but have the mental capacity to be able to really look at everything that's going on, as they're super clever. They can, if they're a little bit out of balance, they can try to control the narrative of a situation or an environment, and so they may find themselves unconsciously, sort of deliberately, but unconsciously, as it's a learned behaviour. They're really good at telling little white lies that they feel will harm no one, but it helps them to control the narrative. The ones that I've met would not think twice about telling you a fib if they don't think it's going to hurt anyone. Then what do they say? No harm, no foul. I don't live by that, but that's what I've experienced with them, and so they can tell little fibs, little white lies here and there. To protect their power over a situation, or to mitigate or diffuse something that they feel is going to get in the way of them attaining what they want to achieve, like their goal, whatever the situation is. So during this period, just be wary of how, and I'm not talking about Capricorns lying to you. I'm saying during the Capricorn season, one of the themes or programs that could play out is that you start to become aware, because of your journey, your awakening has continued and continued and continued. So your senses are heightened, your intuition is heightened. And so you'll become more aware, particularly during this Capricorn season, of people's little white lies. It's like when someone does that to you, you can feel something not quite right, because it's actually in discord with what you know to be the truth and what you feel to be the truth. It throws you off. It's like if you're suggesting something, and then they'll resist it, and they'll use a little white lie in order to throw you off, or distract you, or throw you off balance of, no, it can't happen that way because blah blah, and they'll give you some information that's not actually accurate, or they'll suggest something that suits their agenda, but they know it doesn't suit yours. So they'll say to you, if you want to do that, then we need to do this to make it happen. But that's actually not true. It's what they want. They want you to do what it is that they're suggesting so that you can have what you want. But it's not the only way, and it's not. You'll feel it in your gut, in your mind. You'll go, oh, why are they saying that? They're saying that because they have an agenda. So you're going to be able to see through people's agendas more clearly just by watching and listening to their behaviour when you go to suggest things or try to move forward with things. Watch how people, their games, their tactics. You'll get to see. You may not work out their full agenda, but you'll see the behaviours that they use to try to manipulate you. Okay? In some cases, you might find people becoming quite aggressive if you question it, or you aren't doing what they want you to do. Particularly, I think if it's a patriarchal or matriarchal figure in your life, or a boss or a manager that you work under, you may, this is a period where you may have some form of altercation where they'll raise their voice, or they will assert their power, their perceived power over you to get you to do things their way. So there's a chance of that. I was out in the garden just before, and I noticed two young foxes playing around, hunting around a rabbit warren. And so they, you know what they say about the sly fox, right? So we're going to look up fox in the Animal Spirit Guides book. Generally speaking, it's a warning to look out for someone who is using their cunning, using their wit to outsmart you to get what they want. Basically, that's the gist of it. And I think it says things like increase your intake of berries. Foxes love berries. So if you've got fox influence in your energy, it could be a sign to have more berries for different reasons. So I'll look at that now. So this is the book. It's an awesome book. If you haven't got it, get it. I'm not promoting it, selling it or whatever. I don't gain anything. I don't know this person, but I just found it to be a great book. So we're going to have a look at fox. My glasses on. So, as I said, trust your intuition and be wary of someone you're involved with who's attempting to trick you in some way. Your intelligence and integrity are more useful right now than confrontation and righteousness. So if you get into an argument with someone, back off and just watch their behaviour. You're better to be in hermit mode right now, better to be in observation mode right now, gathering data for yourself so you can see more clearly what's going on behind the spoken words rather than to engage in an argument. And having said that, if you once, because your detective skills, your detection skills are very strong right now. So when you detect that you've been lied to, it's up to you whether you confront the person and say, look, I don't think that that's the truth, with all due respect, blah, blah, blah. You can do that by all means, especially if you're in a work situation. You might find that that is the only way forward. However, what's being suggested to you is that you observe what's going on and just keep that one in your pocket for later on, so that later on, when the variables in your environment alter, or when it comes time for you to do something that could be for the betterment of the group, whatever the situation is, or betterment of this other person, or whatever it is, when it comes time for you to take action or make a decision, you have all that intel, that data stored from observing what they do when certain things play out in a certain way. Does that make sense? So you're observing other people's behaviour and work out who the sly foxes in your life are. And they may mean you no harm, they just want their way because they want their way. But it is still manipulation and tomfoolery, trickery. It's better for you to remain in the background and exert influence from that position than to take an active leadership role. Pardon me, more water. So it doesn't mean that if you're a leader or you normally play leader, for you to take a step back. You're in your role, whatever your role is within your work or at home or whatever, but do what I said. Step back and observe rather than being out into it. It's kind of like, let's say I'm seeing like a board meeting, a meeting around a table, whether it's family or work, and think people are saying different things and inputting different data and whatever about the situation or whatever, or making suggestions of what action to take moving forward for the group or whatever. And you're normally quite outspoken and you have developed the skills to be able to point out, what is unjust or unfair or whatever. Like you kind of have your say, you found your voice and you have your say. They're saying in this instance, just observe and see what people do. So then you pick up the positive aspects of the fox. You become clever. Doesn't mean you're sly and become a liar. No, but you become clever in your observation, because what they do when they hunt is they sneak up and they observe what's going on. Where are the rabbits? Where's my prey? Or even for their own safety, they're very, very observant. And so for your own safety and your own, gain, be more observant and move quietly is the message here for this Capricorn season. Now, I'm not bashing Capricorns, and I'm not saying that the fox is a Capricorn. This is just for the period, right? For the season of Capricorn. It's best to blend into your surroundings and move with stealth and keep your intentions to yourself, right? Keeping your cards close to your chest. Don't run around telling everybody what your plans are and what you're going to do. And he said, she said, blah, blah, blah. Just move silently and thoughtfully, deliberately, which is, Capricorn is the goat. And so if you imagine the goats, are mountain climbers, and they can hang on, a bit of edge of a cliff. They can stand on it and then jump to another one the same size. Like, they are extremely agile and good at getting to where they want to go. Right? But they do things deliberately, thought through with deliberate action. Okay? It's important at this time to break out of your social conditioning and express yourself more freely. So still have your voice, but be clever about how you express it, because you have to. You're being told to take into consideration what you're observing within your environment and within the behaviours of the people around you. Watch how they move so that you can learn how the best way is for you to move. Hope that makes sense. Listen and hear, look and see, sense and feel. Trust your senses to guide you. There it is. Okay? So that is that. Hope that was useful. Now, so we're not calling Capricorn sneaky. It's just during this Capricorn season, this is what Spirit's bringing up in terms of these influences and messages so that you can navigate your way through the Capricorn season with more ease. Yeah? What else is there, Spirit? With earth signs, the base emotion that motivates them is fear. Okay, so for example, earth signs have a great, often they have a great fear of lack, a fear of having to go without, of not achieving, of not having security. Earth is about the material. They need security to feel stable and strong. Okay, so they can be very money focused or very goal orientated, which is very much goat, and they can go about it in foxy ways, right? So the Spirit's saying take on some of those qualities, okay, but in a positive sense. So don't set out to trick anyone or bully anyone or anything like that, but observe what you're doing and set your goals. So it's a great period for you to focus on your work, or focus on, put energy into your work, put energy into your hobbies, put energy into your personal goals, whatever it is that you want to see growing through 2026 and beyond. Put your energy into that, particularly during this Capricorn season. Okay? It's a good time to hone in your focus on what you want to see growing for yourself and your life, and put energy into that. You may experience, Spirit got me to bring up fear, because you may experience times where you feel a little bit insecure or unstable or unearthed or a bit frazzled, and like your nervous system is dysregulated, your fighty flighty, yeah, finding it hard to focus and whatever else. So I've been told to tell you that whenever you feel a bit shaky or wiry, or lacking sleep and things like that, and it's just throwing your energy off, and it's making it hard for you to focus on what you want to achieve, to ground yourself. So one of the ways that you can ground yourself, the obvious way, is to go out and put your feet on the grass or on a big rock. Go and put your hands on the trunk of a tree and just close your eyes and breathe. Another way, so I'm saying to myself, why am I so thirsty? I keep drinking. And so Spirit's saying to me that the adrenals can be quite activated during this time. And adrenals, adrenaline, cortisol, stress, fear, right, are the emotions. So water helps lubricate the function of the liver and calm the adrenal glands down. I believe orange juice does too, but I'm no doctor. So that's why I'm drinking so much during this. I'm like getting dry throat. So if your system's been if you've been a bit stressed out and feeling like you're constantly ready to jump and move, and there's no relaxation to it, find ways to regulate your nervous system, come back into parasympathetic nervous system, learn about the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system functions, and then you'll understand more which state you're in and how to get there. One of the great ways to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which means basically to calm your nerves and not be in a fearful, reactive state of mind, is to do the grounding, the things I just said, meditate if you can't get outside, touch the plants that you have in your home, connect with them. You can meditate, just put some relaxing music on and just sit upright, close your eyes, set a timer for 10 minutes and imagine you are a tree, a big, strong, beautiful tree with your roots expanding outward and down into the earth. Strong, thick trunk, nothing can touch you. Strong branches reaching up to the skies. Okay, beautiful leaves absorbing all the light, the electrical current running through, life force running through. Imagine you're that tree. You might be gently swaying, really gently swaying in the wind. You might be just as stable as all get out. Okay, that's grounding, earthing, and breathe into that visual for yourself. Okay, there's heaps of ways to ground. So do that kind of stuff through this period in particular, because you might feel like I'm being shown like a rat chasing its own tail. Let the rats chase their own tails. You don't have to run around feeling like you're, what do they say? A blue-assed fly bouncing off the walls, like just buzz, like just steady yourself, ground yourself, take in the positive aspects of the earth, the earthly influence, and then you'll have the energy and the stamina and the clear-mindedness and strong intuition to be able to step forward and achieve what you want to achieve. Okay? Spirit just said to me, delays. Do not be, discouraged by delays or obstacles, because you might want to achieve something within the next 3 weeks. It might be that there are delays, variables that you can't control that come in and affect it, so that you have to put that on hold and wait a week or two or a month or two. But there's other projects going on at the same time that you can put more energy into if something stalls, but it doesn't mean it's over. Don't be discouraged. Keep pushing through and moving through without aggression. Observe and take advantage of the way that things are playing out, but know when to step forward and when not to step forward. So the goat does that, and so does the fox. Okay? They don't move unless they know the next step is secure for them. Right? They're going to do something, they're going to do it right. And they're very agile as well. So be flexible in your solution finding and whatever else. But the main thing is, don't be discouraged by any delays. Heightened intuition around seeing things for what they are in terms of observing people's behaviour is coming through really strongly. I'm going to move on to the cards. If there's anything else, because I'm sure I've forgotten stuff, that Spirit was just giving me the downloads. Say this, say that, this is what needs to be pointed out. This is what people need to hear, all while I was preparing today. And I'm sure I've forgotten some, but it'll come through. Okay. And you haven't told me yet whether to do a full spread or a 3 card. Go the 3 card, sure thing. I hope that you're all well, and also do things that strengthen your body. So not fast movements, like don't go out sprinting necessarily or anything like that, but like hatha yoga or squats, or like body weight squats. I'm not saying with weights. Nothing wrong with weights if you're into that. Push-ups, things like that you can do sort of slowly and deliberately that strengthen your body. Eating lots of root vegetables, different types of root vegetables as well. Beetroot, yam, sweet potato, carrot, turnips, whatever your thing is. I'm not saying I eat only that, but maybe increase, yeah? And then they're saying the berries as well, for the anthocyanins or whatever, it will help your brain function and your heart. Okay. Awesome. So we have the Empress, the Lovers, kidding, and the Emperor. Are you seeing what I have just laid out here? This is bizarre. So one thing about Capricorns is that they don't like to flitter about like some air signs might do, or fire signs, right? They do things stable, and they, as I said, they don't move until they know the next footing is stable for them. This, I don't know what to say, honestly. You've got the Empress, like the highest female energy, the Emperor, the highest male energy, and the Lovers in between. So if this doesn't say union, I don't know what. So this is a very strong, I couldn't plan this, right? This is a very strong indication that it's quite possible, if you're watching this, that either your current relationship will elevate to a higher connection and deeper connection, higher, deeper, or that you're about to meet someone and come into union with them. Now, for the most part, and is divinely guided, okay? For the most part, what was I going to say, Spirit? For the most part, this is about love, but it could also be about a perfect union in terms of business partnership as well. It could be that you end up working with your partner. How bizarre. So it involves one person being in their truest, highest form of the expression of the female, feminine energy and everything that goes with it, and then someone else being in the truest, highest form of the male energy. Okay. Now, the Emperor could be, if we're talking about a relationship between a man and a woman, there's no gender here. These are energies. So it could be that the female in the relationship actually carries the masculine, the divine masculine energy. Okay, and that the male carries the Empress, the feminine energy. It's not about here's a woman and here's a man. It's the energy of it, and any gender can hold either, and in fact both of them exist in all of us. It's just what is the mix, what is the balance. Okay, some are stronger with this, some are stronger with the feminine. So if this doesn't say union, I don't know what. I did not expect this today at all. I had no clues of this showing up. But putting it in context of Capricorn, what Spirit's giving me is that there's a level of dedication here of we shall move forward together. That is at the forefront of this energy here. So see the determined look. She ain't fussing about either. These people are unbothered and untouched by those around them. They're not influenced by false friends with their own agenda, giving advice, whatever else. They're not flittering around, seeking advice from others and being influenced from others. They're not, they know what they've been through. They know who they are because of what they've been through. They are able to sit and receive and take stock of what resources they have available to them, and they allow opportunities to come to them. That's the feminine. The masculine is the more go-getters, but he is seated. He's taking some rest. He is in a receptive mode where he gets to see and foreplan things. Very, very wise and stern. She's very, very wise and unmovable as well. She only moves when it suits her for her gain. He will only do what he decides is necessary. Okay? He ain't being depicted, he's not being depicted on a horse riding in action. He's sitting with the tools that he's gained via wisdom through the experiences, the difficult experiences that he's had. She, in turn, doesn't put up with anybody's, any sly foxes or stubborn goats. She is all about, I'm just going to do my thing and look after myself, and I'll do things that are good for me. Okay, so however that fits with you, whatever I'm saying, or whatever bits, it could be from both, that helps you to understand how you're being encouraged to develop, or attributes, your personal attributes that you're being encouraged to allow to come more to the forefront. But it is about dedication to one another, whether it's a business partnership or emotional or intimate. It is about absolute honesty, bravery, fearlessness, complete transparency, and just real dedication and loyalty. Right? This is like the highest form of love. So if any of you find yourself in that space, that's awesome. So I'm so happy for you. You may already feel that you're there. It's going to be amplified through this season into 2026. Okay? That's all I can say about that. That is just so full on. So full on. I have to say, it is about being there for each other when, there might be some times where you go through some kind of a slump or a challenge and you're not feeling great about yourself, or you're not feeling great about the circumstances. And so that's when your partner steps in and says, and holds you. What do you need? What can I do for you? Do you just need me to listen to you? Do you need me to act on anything? Do you need me to do more around the house or the business to take some pressure off you? What do you need? I'm here for you. Yeah? And then there'll be times where your partner is going through stress or challenges or emotional or mental upset, and they need the kind of support that they've given you and offered you. Yeah? So it's about absolute. Spirit's got me to just say that because the one word I left out when I was going through the list of attributes in this situation is reciprocation. That you're both on the same page, you put yourselves on the same page by doing what you need to do for yourselves, but then coming together and doing what's needed between you. You give what you receive what you give, knowing that it has to be a two-way street. You're not coming against each other. You're working side by side, and you do whatever you need to do to nourish and support and, encourage and all that kind of stuff. So absolute dedication in that regard. I don't know if there's anything more that I can say about this. This is just mind-blowing. So you want me to do these cards? So this is like, I won't say surface as in superficial. This is the obvious energy for the season. So things coming into union, possible reunion, but things coming into union. I will flip over and see what's at the base of the cards later on. Things working together, collaboration, that's the kind of energy we're talking about here, and it's really honest and transparent and dedicated. There's no slyness here. Okay? There's no slippery slopes or danger or people being sly or tricky in this scenario here. All right? Because you've been through that. I believe both parties have been through that in their own way, and they don't want to repeat old patterns of behaviour. They don't want to respond to the same tricky energy the way that they have in the past, because they know what the outcome of that is. Right? I'm sure everyone who's listening can relate to that. One more. Okay. And you wanted to pop out. So we've got the Tower. the warrior, and the druid. Okay, so that was what's obvious, conscious. This is the unconscious, or, you know, the flip side of the coin. It doesn't mean it's the opposite. It just means this is what's hidden, or on a deeper level, this might be going on. So some of you are dealing with a tower moment, or have been processing the effects of a tower moment that happened in the past. But I believe, because of the times that we're in, that many of us are actually having even minor tower moments where things are happening in a way where we are having the wool taken from our eyes. And so that's, thank you, Spirit. That's what I was saying earlier, where you observe someone, you'll start to see when they're coming in discord of you, or suggesting things that create discord within you, or you know, wreck your plans a little bit. It's like, if you compromise and do this, then you'll be able to achieve what you want, but you have to do it my way and do what I'm suggesting, and you know that's not what you want to do. And they know it's not what you want to do, but they have an agenda, right? When you see that in people close to you, it's disappointing. That's a tower moment. Okay? When you observe behaviours in people who you expect have your back the way that you have theirs, that care for you and your feelings and your state of mind, emotional state, the way that you do theirs. And for all intents and purposes, they do. But these elements of selfishness come in. These elements of manipulation come in at pivotal sort of points, when you're trying to do something and then they come up with this, and you're like, why are they bringing that up again? Or why are they bringing that person up again? Why are they still pushing for this agenda for me to do something they know I don't want to do? And they're making it look like it's the only way for me to achieve what I want to achieve. And what you want to achieve is something good with them, actually. So it's quite disappointing. So seeing disappointing behaviour in and actions and words spoken in people around you, where it shocks you a little bit, where you're like, I got that jolt again of, I'm being reminded that as much as I love and care and trust this person, I need to watch them, because in actual fact they have an agenda and they're not scared to push that agenda when it comes to me. Okay, so it's elevations in heightened clarity, heightened awareness, heightened perception of what's going on around us. It's like, you know, we get thrown from the tower because the lightning hits the tower, and we get thrown from the tower and we land on our asses or on our faces, and it's like, how could anything so bad happen? But from that moment we can see clearly where we've had the rose-coloured sunglasses on, or where we've chosen to overlook people's behaviour, but now we can see what their agenda actually is. Or we can't see their agenda, but we know to question it because their behaviour is in discord. What they're saying or suggesting is in discord with what we both know to be true. That makes sense. So tower moments bring a great clarity to a situation and to the behaviours of the people around us. So you might have already gone through that. So it could be the end of a relationship, the end of a friendship, the end of a business partnership. It doesn't mean it ends. It could be that your perception of that person has changed because of what you've observed in their behaviour, right? And your perception will never be able to go back to what it was when you thought they were absolute angels, for example, right? Because you've observed behaviours in them that you thought you would never see, for example. They've betrayed you in some way, or told a little white lie, like I said earlier, or they're just trying to push an agenda that they know is not good for you. Okay, then you go, gosh, I didn't think they would be like that, but they are. So it's what we learn about other people by observing their behaviour and getting some rude awakenings. It can be shocking at times, but what I'm suggesting to you is this is a continuing theme because the tower keeps coming up, and it's like we're being woken up on the daily, almost on the weekly, just to say, okay, so you're able to process that about that person or situation. Now take a look at this, and they show you another level of whether there's been deception or whatever it is. Okay, so healing from that is what is coming through here. I don't want to say that this is the past, but for a lot of people it is. For some people, they feel like it happened yesterday, or it's coming in this season for you, where you will start to really notice that certain people around you are not quite what you thought they were. Right? You might be shocked by their behaviours. It doesn't mean that the friendships, relationships, partnerships have to end. It means that your perception of them will never be the same. Okay? And you act accordingly. So the warrior, what I'm getting with this is about boundaries and defining and defending your boundaries, fighting for what's right, standing up for yourself. Now, as I said, you can move quietly. It's not about charging into a situation with your, sword and shield and just rah. It's not about being aggressive, but it is about come closer, but you better come right. If you don't come right, and that means with respect and transparency. If I smell the essence of deception or betrayal on you, off with your head. I won't tolerate it. So what are you not willing to tolerate? What are you not willing to tolerate in your relationships anymore, whether they're intimate or business or friends? What are you not willing to tolerate anymore? You are in a place where you, or if you're not, you will be in a place where you will make your stance clear on any topic. And I'm again not suggesting that you're being aggressive in any way. I'm saying that you will, as the book said with Fox, feel free to express yourself when it serves you to do so. No one needs to know your agenda or see all of your cards. No one's got the right to, no matter how close to you they are. You know what's good for you and what's not. And you won't move on anything that you don't feel right about, or with anyone that you don't feel safe with. Okay? You're coming into your power. Okay, and that's what both of these cards are about. The Empress and the Emperor is coming into the power, and then the union, they become a power couple, right? For want of better words. And so underneath that is, because of what we have to deal with or have had to go through in order to see things more clearly and heighten our senses, we are now less tolerant and we are wiser for the trickery we've had laid upon us before. All right? So this is awesome. This is empowerment. And these here, this couple here is, or this union here, these are the two most empowered individuals there are. Self-empowered. And it's through the pain of what they've gone through that they've learned their lessons and learned and learned and learned, and they don't repeat cycles and have to repeat lessons. There's nothing wrong with oops, I slipped up, I did succumb to that temptation and went back to whatever, and I swiftly was reminded that that's not good for me, so I've jumped back on track. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's about learning your lessons, and then you become empowered because you change the way you move. You change what you tolerate and what you won't tolerate. You speak up when something's not right, or you move away from it when you see behaviours in people that indicate that they just don't have your back. You get it, right? The next card is the Druid. And so this individual, it's kind of like the magician. This individual has all the tools necessary to manifest, to bring about what they truly desire in life. So the reason I just hummed is because Spirit just gave me a deeper way again of looking at it. So it's kind of, and this might not resonate with everyone, but it's like what's generally been happening is that the divine feminine has been dealing with a lot of tower moments, and that's why you said to me abandonment. When I was going through the list on this, abandonment what came into my mind. So it's quite possible that a lot of divine feminines have been experiencing, processing the effects of being betrayed, abandoned, deceived, all that kind of energy. And so that has elevated their status into Empress, because they no longer will be, what's the word? They will no longer live in effect of what others do. They look after themselves because of the disappointing, the amount of wool they've had to have removed from their eyes. Yeah, it's like that's their journey, and then the masculine journey has been a very lots of mountains to climb, so lots of challenges. But it's kind of the energy that I'm getting with this, with the Emperor, is I feel like a lot of the divine masculines have not been so divine, right? And a lot of the divine feminines have not been so divine. And so we're moving into the divinity of it, the highest form of it, by learning our lessons, okay? Life's been slapping us around a bit so that we can refine ourselves and get to the core of who we are and what matters to us, okay? So they become these characters because of what they've gone through and what they've learned. And just because you go through difficult times doesn't mean you learn anything. So many people just keep putting their hands back in the fire, or just it's like, I don't get the lesson from this. I just keep experiencing. So you need to do your emotional bookkeeping as hard as it is. You need to have your dark night of the soul where you're sitting in your emotion and allowing yourself to feel it, so that once that emotion is gone, you get clarity around what has actually transpired to bring me to this place. What role did I play in it? What role did others play in it? What are the lessons for me? And so moving forward, you carry those lessons become your tools. Yeah? And then you become a greater, stronger version of yourself, more self-empowered. I hope that all makes sense. I don't want to waffle on about it too long, but the masculine's in a place where they can manifest, make things happen, take advantage of the fruits of their labour. But see the birds, I feel like it's like, when you can see big, strong men or big masculine women, I don't know, people are going to laugh at that. You know what I'm saying? When a woman has masculine energy and a man can have feminine energy, right? So real go-getters, strong personalities. There's a risk of out of balance of them being too aggressive, narcissistic, controlling, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, when you see a big person, a big strong person who looks aggressive or could very easily be aggressive, but they are really gentle with things. They're actually really sensitive, and they're actually very thoughtful and kind and generous, and sensitive. They show sensitivity to those around them and whenever they go to do something. So they might be big and strong, whether it's their energy or their physicality, but they've learned to use a feather's touch. Spirit keeps saying to me they use a feather's touch. The touch of a feather. When they do things, it's delicate. Okay, so it's not about being big and boisterous. It's about being mindful. What have you learned in terms of balancing the masculine energy? What have you learned in terms of balancing the female, the feminine energy? Really gathering all of the lessons that you've learned, particularly in the last year, but the last 5, or you know, we've been looking at lifetime cycles and ending ancestral patterns and stuff like that. It's okay if you don't understand what that means. I'm saying it for those who do. So putting your lifetime of lessons learned down in front of you and saying, right, so based on all of this, how do I need to move today? Who do I need to develop into? Because I need to take all of these lessons into account in terms of developing who I am as I step forward. Yeah? So that's the main lesson for the masculine. The feminine main lesson is not to fall for people's tricks so much. It doesn't mean that the emperor, the masculine, wasn't tricked. That could be part of a challenge that they've gone through, right? The feminine can overgive, oversupport, negate self, and be, you know, completely in servitude and not being looked after herself. And so the Empress is, I look after myself. I move for nobody and I look after myself. But extremely mothering at the same time, can be very generous and nurturing and all of that stuff, but not at her own cost, not to her own detriment. And so the journey for the feminine has been, I don't put myself in situations where people are going to betray me. I do what I have to do for myself. And the masculine has learned how to observe the lessons. It's like looking at things. That's why you were talking me through that, Spirit. Thank you. So as you lay out your lessons, masculines, it's like, well, I used to be like this. I used to cut and run whenever I wasn't getting what I didn't want or what I wanted. I used to cut and run whenever I felt unsafe because things were getting too deep emotionally in my relationships, or I didn't trust people when I was in partnerships of any kind. So as soon as it got into like a real serious level of commitment and dedication, I saw how vulnerable I was to the situation or the other person, and I cut and run. Just as an example, like this is one of the lessons that's been learned. So to observe, to take stock of, what have I learned? And don't be that way anymore, because when you are that way, you don't get the outcome that you want. You don't get what you need. So in order to be in union with each other, the feminine needs to be have boundaries and be able to defend her needs. And the masculine needs to really be conscious and aware of where they've effed up along the way and take accountability for what they've done. So how does it tie in? So So for the masculine, it's more, it's like being, and this might not be for everyone, but it's like being influenced by other people, influenced by the advice of or actions of the people around them, rather than actually having faith in what they have and what they know to be true. Okay? And so they both meet here in the middle with their swords in hand, having been in battle, having worked it all out for themselves individually, and then they're able to become this power couple because at base level, they are absolute warriors. They will not tolerate any more crap in their lives. Okay, so I'm just going to flip over the thing. So we've got the Fool in terms of the conscious obvious level, and then we've got the Lord on the subconscious or unseen. So being able to put your own needs first. It doesn't mean we become selfish. I'm talking to people who have learnt the lesson of being burnt one too many times, of overgiving, of putting other people's needs before your own, of going along with other people's agenda because you're people pleasing and hoping that they will do the right thing by you, and then they don't. They do until they don't. This is those kinds of people who are now learning not to take on other people's stuff so readily, not to change their course of action because of what other people say their needs are, not negating themselves, shrinking themselves, dimming their light, trying to fit in, trying to, put everybody else's needs first. This is now about you being able to do what you need to do for yourself and do it with glee, with happiness, with I'm doing this, I'm stepping in this way, I'm doing this for myself because I'm worthy of it, because I love myself, because I want to empower myself, I want to feel good. So do things during this Capricorn season and all the time really that you enjoy doing, that bring you joy and peace and lighten you up. Enjoy your life and step forward in the direction you want to step forward in. Underneath that is the Lord. Now, it's funny with the Fool, the Lord, right? The Lord knows how to move. The Lord is in tune with all of the energies around him. It's like he's the Lord of his domain. This is basically the Emperor again. See the 4 and 4. He knows what's what. He knows who to talk to about what, and he knows who to how to move in a way that where he wins. And it's not at the expense of others. We're not talking about betrayal and deception and da-da-da. They are your lessons of the past. We're talking about to move with integrity. So because you've worked out what's what, or in the process of working out what's what and which way is up, and all the lessons around needing to have boundaries, or because I feel like I'm talking to two different groups of people here. I'm talking to feminine and I'm talking to masculine energy. So this is why this is such a complex reading. Okay, so you've learned that you need to put boundaries in place so as not to be taken advantage of. You've learned not to put others' needs before your own, or do things for others where they become an absolute distraction from yourself, where you're negating yourself and negating your own needs long term because other people seem to be in more need, or you simply place more value on making other people happy before you are yourself. all that kind of stuff. Or if you're the divine masculine who has not been so divine and has done the cutting and running, or betrayed, or deceived, or any of that kind of stuff, abandoned because you didn't feel safe. You've learned how to stay in your power and stay grounded because you're able to see things clearly for what they are and make the best of a situation, rather than finding reasons to just bolt or to be hurtful or aggressive, right? Moving with the gentility and sensitivity of a feather. Looks like a heavyweight, moves like a lightweight. And I don't mean that in any negative way. I mean it with delicate, being able to handle delicate situations with finesse and sensitivity. Yeah? And then that enables you to get what you want, to move in the direction that you want to move into, not be encumbered by other people's opinions, other people's actions, other people's needs, and other people's encumbrances upon you. Like, you're free of it, set it down. So there's been some really deep lessons learned that enable this empowerment, this self-empowerment to happen, and this union to come about. I did not expect this to play out like this. This is awesome. And so I think that's all I have for you for the season of Capricorn, moving into transitioning over from 2025 to 2026. Been a very interesting year. Many are happy to see the end of it. But in that, the theme was, what are you happy to see the end of? That's what 2025 was about. What cycles that kept you stuck, that kept you disempowered, that kept you running away from things you think you can't handle, all that kind of stuff. Whatever the negative or self-destructive or what's the word? Like pulling the rug from underneath your own feet kind of behavior, self-abandonment, putting yourself last, or putting yourself first. To see that the difference between the feminine and the masculine, one of the differences is that the feminine out of balance will always put others' needs first. The masculine out of balance will always put their own needs first. And so you need to find, for there to be union, you need to find both of those energies need to be balanced out, where she learns that I can be useful in helping others, but I look after myself as a priority in order to make it sustainable long term. And the masculine learns, I have to be not so hard, not so, in order to have the love that I want, I have to be not so selfish. I need to soften, I need to toughen up. Does that make sense? So he needs what she has and she needs what he has. And in their union, they get to balance each other out, in that he can see that he needs to move with the feather's touch, for want of better words. And she can see, well, every now and then I need to get my sword out in order to not be walked all over or not being taken advantage of. And it's not to say that the masculine haven't been through situations where they don't feel like completely vulnerable, and where they've been taken advantage of, where there's been deceit against them. I'm not making out that the, bad men, good women. It goes both ways, and there's been lots of lessons learned. So anyway, before I get into an entangled mess with too many words, I hope that all makes sense. Do what you need to do for yourself to ground yourself through this season, and give yourself, like, sit back and observe As much as you take action and as much as you are expressive, it's not about shutting yourself down, but just take a back seat and observe what's going on around you. Okay? Listen, watch, and learn. And then really moving into 2026, we need to look at what we've been through this year and what have we learnt from it. What are we taking into the new year? What are we changing? And I'm not talking about New Year's resolutions, but I am talking about how have those things changed who we are and how we move, as in how we behave when no one's watching and when people are watching. I hope that makes sense. Okay, bless you all, many blessings, and I wish you much protection and prosperity and clarity and abundance of all things good. Thank you.